What up, y'all? It's Aaron from Phaser, and today I want to talk about the state of Five Nights at Freddy's theory crafting. Oh my god, just leave John alone! So actually, I wrote this script before FNAF's video on Tuesday, and I didn't even write this as like a stop Five Nights at Freddy's theory hate advertisement. I just wrote it for fun and to talk about the meta of Five Nights at Freddy's theory crafting. However, it does seem to be a pretty poignant topic this week, as a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's theorists seem to be talking about hateful comments and how people aren't being civil when there are disagreements in theories. So with that said, I wanted to talk about how I personally view Five Nights at Freddy's theories and why I think they're important and so much fun. And if you feel the need to leave a hateful comment on this video, go for it. There's way too much cool stuff in the world for me to be caught up in other people's garbage. So with the exception of The Binding of Isaac, Five Nights at Freddy's is my all-time favorite video game franchise. In general, I'm a huge fan of anything with cryptic lore and weird storytelling. I attribute this to my friend's father getting me into Buckethead at the age of 12. As much as I love his guitar skills, I was more intrigued by the mystery surrounding the fictional character. And this is similar to how I feel about the mysteries of Five Nights at Freddy's. With that said, I don't really play the games that much. I have a bunch of them, but usually when I want a Five Nights at Freddy's gameplay fix, I just play Help Wanted. I feel this game has a lot of the appeal of the original series of games, but it's also more polished and digestible, especially for someone with a kid who only has a couple of minutes to play games at a time. And from what I've seen, a lot of you feel the same way. Help Wanted, which I think it was intentional, is a really good jumping in point for the gameplay of the series. My favorite part of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise is the theory crafting. Like a lot of you, I watch a lot more FNAF YouTube content than I actually play the games, and it's crazy how many different perspectives and ideas come out of the community. I also believe that theory crafting fits into the overall theme of Five Nights at Freddy's. Outside of the robots and shady corporate dealings, Five Nights at Freddy's has all the great makings of an urban legend. Now, I know everyone hates Dream Theory for the first 4 games, but I actually think there's a relatable grain of truth in that theory. Crying Child's fears are based around the general fears of children, as well as stories that he heard from other children in his neighborhood. This is similar to how myths and folklore work in the real world. Urban legends are generally passed around orally, much like other forms of folklore. Anyone who has played the children's game Telephone will tell you that orally told stories can be easily changed and manipulated. Every person has their own set of biases that slightly changes the message over time. Much like The Crying Child, our perspective is based on the way the community tells us the tales of Five Nights at Freddy's. And honestly, this is how I feel about FNAF theories. Scott doesn't give us the whole story in the games, and we're left to speculate and tell our own versions of the story. We're passing around ideas about a creepy children's entertainment company, and our ideas contain spirits, robots, killers, and most importantly, exotic butters. Obviously, this isn't the perspective of a lot of people in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. Many fans and theorists view the lore as a problem to be solved, and that we can eventually figure out the true story of the series if we work hard enough. And honestly, I've shared this perspective in the past as well. Sometimes you just want something so badly that you'll do anything or hurt anyone in your path just to get the answer. At this point in the lore, I just want Scott to make a YouTube video where he's dressed up nice, sitting by a fire, he opens up a book, and he tells us the story of the first handful of games. But until that happens, I'm just going to enjoy the ride. And I say this to make a point. I don't blame people for thinking this way. We've all been teased and led on by Scott for the past decade. His breadcrumb trail of clues has given us collective gaming blue balls for what seems like forever.
Christ, man, there's just some things you don't talk about in public.
In the past, we had the Bite of 87 versus Bite of 83 debate. There was Well Hell versus Mike Hell. We're out here counting toes, buttons, we're tracking eye colors, wristband colors, text colors. There are so many differences in opinion that many common theories have been boiled down to acronyms. Looking at you, r/FNAF theories. Also, I love you. While this is all fun and games, literally, we shouldn't be taking this too seriously. Theory crafting is half the fun, and why should we ruin it? I'll show myself out. Thank you for your time. Thank you. As I said before, I didn't write this video to respond to any drama or speak directly to people who hate on theorists. This is just my perspective on how I view Five Nights at Freddy's theories, and I wanted to share it with everyone. That said, I think some of the aforementioned people could benefit from this discussion. It's like those self-help gurus say, it's about the journey and not the end point, or something like that. I don't enjoy watching Five Nights at Freddy's theories because I'm hoping that someone will crack the case. I enjoy watching them to hear all the different ideas and perspectives of people who love these games as much as I do. To me, it's no different than hearing two different accounts of Bloody Mary. Oh, sorry YouTube. Red Stuff Mary. As fans of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, wow, that's a mouthful. We're spending a lot of these hours twisting tails for each other. Well, you all are. I haven't put out any Five Nights at Freddy's theories yet. For me, at least, the fun of watching FNAF theories isn't about the creator being correct. It's about the fun that we all have speculating together. As Raito says, it's just a Pizza Bear game.
A Pizza Bear game?
Speaking of Raitoast, I wanted to end this video by telling you how much I love this new crop of Five Nights at Freddy's theorists. Over the past few years, we've seen a whole new generation of theorists come out, and it's really been awesome. I mean, there's only so much Dawko one man can watch, right?
Guys, do-
I'm just kidding. Lewis is the man. Seriously, dude, no need to cry. You're awesome. Jokes aside, I've been a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's since the beginning. One of my favorite parts of this franchise is the sheer amount of creativity that comes out of the fandom. In this video, we're just talking about theory crafting YouTubers, but let's not forget all the amazing artists, comic creators, musicians, and fan game developers that can be found within the community. Just the fact that Scott has inspired so many young people to get into 3D modeling is amazing to me. Alright, so to put a bow tie on this bear, I love watching and reading Five Nights at Freddy's theories. It's my favorite aspect of the fandom, and I love how it parallels oral storytelling traditions seen throughout human history. William Afton may not be a real person, but the streets are filled with stories of his dark deeds. And when we talk about him, let's be nice to each other. Peace, y'all.